So, here we are on the precipice of the series finale of WandaVision, in the penultimate episode previously on. Based on last week's episode, I really thought the series would be putting the hammer down and cranking up the pace, but instead we pretty much got the exact opposite of that. On this week's installment, the brakes are applied, and instead of ramping up the stakes, we're given a deep dive flashback into Agatha's past. And we also slow down to explore and revisit Wanda's trauma up to this point. And we also get to see how Westview came into creation. Not really funneling us into the series finale that I thought it would. Agatha is given an origin story of sorts, showing us that she's almost like a leech as she drains the power of other witches who tried to dispose of her because of reasons. I don't know. She killed Sparky. Good enough. I know that we're supposed to hate her, but it's really hard to hate her because Catherine Hahn is just so goddamn delightful in this series. I kind of like how the show is using her to start creating links between the magic that Wanda uses and the magic that Doctor Strange employs. We're even given some examples of how runes work, and shown the different types of magic that a skilled conjurer can create. With Wanda at Agatha's command, we're given a greatest hits revisit of Wanda's history. Things that have been mentioned in previous films, like the bombing of her house, are recontextualized and shown. It's also confirming what most of us had probably guessed at this point. Wanda watched sitcoms with her family when she was younger, and Westview is Wanda's way of making sense of the chaos and the loss that she's endured. That loss is made far more acute by the time we reach the scene where Wanda is discussing grief with Vision in a scene that retroactively probably takes place just after the end of Age of Ultron. Paul Bettany is Vision at his most humane as he ponders, what is grief if not love persevering? For a series of movies and shows that started with a billionaire in a tin can on an ego trip, the MCU sure does swing for the emotional fences. And with Bettany and Olsen in the leads, it's really hard not to feel that hurt, especially as it's been shown through these characters that we've really come to love. And it is just one conga line kick in the teeth for Wanda during this stroll down memory lane. After showing us the death of her parents, her torture under Hydra scientists, the loss of her brother juxtaposing the beginning of her love with Vision, the last gut punch comes as she tries to reclaim Vision's body after SWORD had taken possession of his remains. Paying homage to John Byrne's Vision Quest storyline that took place and played out during the West Coast Avengers series, Wanda finds Vision's remains torn apart, separated and exposed. This is dark and deeply unsettling. I thought for sure this would be what set Wanda's plans in motions, that she would tear SWORD down to the ground around her. But instead of violence and retribution, we get something far more human. Wanda is just broken. She says her goodbyes to Vision's decapitated robot head and just leaves. She leaves and drives. And then we learn why Wanda created Westview. This town was where Vision had purchased land, with the aim of building their house there to grow old in. Wanda discovering this, and realizing just how much had been stolen from her, just broke her. While she may not have known how she did it, she still did this. She entrapped an entire town and its residents so that she could have her perfect life with Vision. Watching Elizabeth Olsen's performance here is heartbreaking. She nails that hollow, empty feeling of grief. She nails it so well that when she finally just explodes, she sells the audience on Wanda reshaping this reality. Even when she's trapped an entire town and is holding them prisoner, we want Wanda to be happy. We want Wanda to be reunited with Vision. We just want her pain to stop, which is pretty amazing, considering I think we're watching the birth of a potential villain. So, yeah. Wanda is the villain here. Just a far more human one than we're probably used to getting in shows like this. The reason we're not treating her as a villain is because the show is literally giving us a cackling witch with Wanda's children on a leash. Wanda is a villain, just not a villain with a capital V. That role is being played by Hayward, who really just wants to stop Wanda, which shouldn't make him the villain. And Agnes, who is a villain because she wants Wanda's power. We're trained as an audience to treat her as such. In this week's post-credit sequence, we finally got the true reveal of what Cataract is, which was pretty obvious once we got that Vision Quest reference. Vision's remains have been reassembled and low-jacked, so S.W.O.R.D. has a multi-billion-dollar Vision puppet to play with. In the comics, during John Byrne's run on West Coast Avengers, Vision was deconstructed and then reassembled, essentially mind-wiping him of any of his emotional ties to others, including his wife Wanda, and his 2 children. Comics are weird. But hey, so is WandaVision, so here we are. With this late-stage introduction of White Vision on board for next week's finale, to be honest, it's starting to feel a little crowded. With Agnes, Wanda, Dream Vision, Dead Vision, twin kids, Darcy, Monica and Hayward all on board, we might as well just throw in Dottie and call bingo. With all of that, and zero real plot development this week other than the introduction of Wanda as the Scarlet Witch proper, commander of chaos magic this week, I think it's safe to say we're probably not getting any multiverse shenanigans. I wonder how people found that scene this week. When Agnes calls Wanda the Scarlet Witch, I know a lot of us were like, hey, she said the thing that we all know. I think everyone else was kind of like, okay? Is it because of the red hoodie? Like, is there a turquoise witch? What about chartreuse? Lavender? Tell me about the aquamarine witch. It reminded me of that scene in Star Trek Into Darkness when Benedict, not quite yet Dr. Strange Cumberbatch, says, my name is Khan. And everyone under 30 was just like, okay, cool. I'm literally the only person thinking about this? I can already tell. Whatever. These are the thoughts that keep me up at night. Anyways, I'll leave all of my thoughts on that for next week, but ultimately, I thought this was a pretty weird way to ramp up into the series finale. I think. I mean, I didn't hate it, but it also wasn't what I was expecting. I think this week's episode featured the strongest performance of Bettany and Olsen thus far. They are perfectly cast in these roles, and I really hope we get more of them, either in film or in television series like this trippy show post-series finale. So, what did you think of WandaVision this week? Happy to slow down and get some answers? Is anyone even watching this far into my videos anymore? You should let me know in the comments below, and as usual, I will see you here in next week's episode. Later days.